Okay. So hi guys, good evening. How are you all? Unmute करके या text करके please respond कर दो. It's a little it's a little scary. ऐसे लगता है कि अपने आप से बात कर रहे हैं. Am I audible? Am I visible? Is the screen visible? Great. Okay, Rohit. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Sai. Okay. So before I actually delve to the topic, probably just a couple of just a round of introduction and just a couple of ground rules for the next 30-35 odd minutes, whichever we are together. Um, so I am Janvi, and I have been with Prepzone for 4 years now. I am a chartered accountant, and I'm also an pass out batch 2018. Um, I'm currently working with Paisa Bazaar in Gurgaon as part of their strategy team. Um, Passionate about mentoring, meeting people like you. I think it just makes me uh, it just keeps me updated, keeps me rejuvenated, gives me a very good sense of what's happening, because I think when I gave CAT in 2015 and how things are today, I definitely feel very archaic. So that's about me. Couple of ground rules for this session. I will be able to share this presentation with you guys, if you need it. So please don't worry about jotting down anything. And, I mean, you feel free to, but don't focus entirely there. Second one, of course, is I want this absolutely interactive. Possibly for the first 10 to 15 minutes, it will be a monologue. I'll kind of take you through what I have in mind, what I understand of the topic, whatever I believe is important enough to cover, and then want it absolutely interactive in terms of whatever you have in mind. I will try and answer to the best of my ability. If there's something that I possibly do not understand, I will definitely put it down, ask you to send it to me, and we can have a conversation offline around it. So please feel free to come in and just put in your thoughts, whether verbally, whether orally, put it on the chat, and we can take it up. Third and the most foremost ground rule, please just absolutely on first name basis. I am Janvi, and I'm very very comfortable you addressing me that way. And just in case, while I'm talking, you feel that I'm going too fast or I'm going too slow, just let me know so that we can modulate accordingly and take it up. So all set. I think this is enough from my end. Should we now delve into the topic and into what all I have on this piece? Sounds good? Okay, not okay. Yeah, okay, great. So, before I kind of get into ONDC as such, the way I am going to be looking at this topic is I'm going to give you a very, very brief view in terms of how digital for India looks, how it has evolved over time, what are the factors that are helping us in this entire mission of the country becoming digital. Of course, it has been aided by COVID, but other than that also, then why do you need something like an ONDC, what it is, and of course some discussion around the use cases. um just I think this one is just as a refresher for all of you. I mean, I'm sure that the very fact that you guys are here in this session, this is just to give you a sense of what Shubham and Prashant have been doing at Prepzone. I think, the sort of our results kind of speak for themselves, and the entire program, the very fact that it's so immersive, it's so in depth, it's so constantly, it's keeping you on your toes, it's asking you to be involved. I think that helps us. I mean, this is again coming from a lot of student testimonies, that the very fact that you're constantly doing a lot every day is what helps get these results and converts. Just in terms of how the last year, the results were and how they looked, and the sort of people who converted, the most coveted, IIMs. Just to give you a sense of what we do, how seriously we take all of you, and I can kind of, in a very not so subtle way, assure you that, if you hear and you've put in the right rigor that is needed for the next 2.5 odd months, uh, I'm reasonably confident that you should be able to convert, if not all, then most of your calls and whatever that comes your way. So now I'll kind of dig into ONDC. So I think all of us know this very well, that for us, life these days is unimaginable. I think I was just hosting someone for lunch in the afternoon, and it just struck me that their daughter, they have an 8-month daughter, and I didn't have anything at home which I would have possibly given her. All I did was took out a phone, opened Blinkit. I saw a small unicorn toy. It costed all of, I think, 199. They charged me 15 odd rupees for delivery. And within sorry, and within 9 minutes of me doing this transaction, that toy was sitting at my home. I think all of us experience this on a day-to-day basis, and I think UPI is another thing. I mean, I don't remember when was the last time I've carried cash in my wallet. I mean, from an Uber or to even a simple small vendor who is on the roadside. I think UPI and merchant QR codes are so all pervasive that it's become so easy. I mean, I'm never worried if I'm stepping out. As long as I have a phone or I have a device which has an access to the internet, I'm absolutely not worried about what will happen to me. So just to put all of this in perspective, there are 840 million people today who access the internet in India. Aadhaar is something that very, very few people don't have now. We are absolutely leading the globe when it comes to doing digital payments, the direct benefit transfers, all your subsidies coming directly into your bank accounts, I think is a very, very brilliant way of ensuring that the right consumer gets the right access. And this leakages and the corruption that we've all heard of in the past are our stories of the past. The Jandhan, which the government's initiative was pushed in, I think that's helped in a lot of financial inclusion. A lot of people today have bank accounts, and that's allowed them to avail a lot of these schemes that come their way. So overall, India, when you look at the digital perspective, it's just grown and grown. Focusing a little more on financial services, I think bank penetration, bank has increased. Our real-time transactions, I think UPI, IMPS, NEFT, RTGS, the very fact that I need to send a small amount like 100, or I need to send a big amount like 2 lakh rupees is just so easy. Insurance is becoming a big market, especially after COVID. People have realized that health is something that they, want to take care of, and it's something that they should be ready, because the bills during COVID were high and hefty. So all of this is kind of, allowed India to now be a very, 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 very strong front leader when it comes to digital globally. I think the fact that countries are adopting UPI is bears testimony to what we've done in digital, and especially in the financial sector. What's aiding a lot of this growth, of course, is 5G, I think, internet and mobile penetration, smartphones have made it so easy for anyone and everyone to access. There's a lot of government push. So you have unicorns, you have a lot of fintechs, you have a lot of digital payment players who have come in, and that's allowed people, and that's made consumers spoiled for choices. You have the entire public infrastructure, which you refer to as DPI. So you have Aadhaar, you have UPI, and the whole entire layered system and the entire ecosystem that helps you be more digital, be more tech savvy, be more financially inclusive. Um, More and more and increasingly, that as companies and as suppliers are realizing that India is not just an English speaking country. So content's becoming more vernacular, videos. People no longer have that sort of attention spans. I mean, we are also used to bite-sized information. We all need those 30-second reels that help us get an entire view. So all that is also helping push a lot of this agenda forward. Just in terms of getting a sense in the meeting, how many of you use the Amazons and the Flipkarts of the world? Yeah, I think show of hands are helping. Um, name name e-commerce platforms other than Amazon and Flipkart. Jabong, Tata Click. Okay, what else? Mintra. I would kind of look at it with the same Soul Store. Okay, what else? So again, I think when I asked you how many of you transact on Amazon and Flipkart, the answers are very, very easy, very, very quickly. All of you raised your hands and said, oh, oh yeah, I do this and I do that. But when I kind of asked you the next peel of the question, the next layer of the question, that except for, let's say, Amazon and Flipkart, who else comes to your mind? It took you a little while. And the names that you've also given, some are big, some are not that big, some are growing. So even though we've made such strides as a digital economy, uh, our share of commerce, or the e-com transactions that happen for us as a nation, when you kind of compare it to a lot of other countries, it's still much lower. So yes, we have arrived. We are embracing digital. However, when you look at e-commerce as a section, compared to a lot of other developing and developed nations, the share that we have is much lower. And also, when you look at it across sectors, so you see, yes, fashion, you see travel, we are very, very tech savvy. But grocery, I think all of us believed that big baskets and the Swiggy Instamarts have really arrived. But when you look at the share that you're doing digitally, it's very, very low. I mean, in groceries, just 1% of the entire market that would be called grocery. So we still are, the people we work with, or people around us, or even your parents for that matter, I'm sure they still go to the kiranas, they still go to the sabzi mandis. That is where the bulk of their purchase is happening. So digital commerce for us is in a peak and trough situation. So at some places you've reached that sort of saturation, but in some places still there's a long way to go. Any idea or any view on why is that? Why do you believe that digital penetration within India is varying across sectors? Mohit, you asked me something. Let me just open chat. It says, can we say Ashni Gova's? Ah, I would not kind of want to, take names. I would always urge you that please focus. Okay, so whenever you kind of look at answering anything like this, please divide it into a broader term. So talk about government initiatives and talk about um, private enterprises who've embraced it. Don't kind of focus on singular names. Don't focus on very very singular examples, because then that kind of takes away from the conversation and from the meat of the conversation, and especially people as controversial as the one mentioned. I hope I've answered this question. So coming back to the question I asked, why do you believe that, digital e-commerce in India is that underpenetrated? Any views, anything which, comes to mind? Yeah, Dhruv, you can go ahead if you have something. Probably he's just okay.
Can I speak?
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Oh, this is Joseph. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I my view is that so it depends on the product. So when we look at electronics or the, travel, so these type
Mm-hmm.
of products, when we look at them, when we buy it from online, we have a feeling, we have the same feeling of trust, is what I feel, because reading the product description, we can understand that these kind of products are would be the same thing when we buy it offline as well. But when it comes to groceries, only when we go and we get the feel of it, we might feel that okay, this is trustable enough for me to purchase it. So I think this kind of mindset has been in our Indian market, and that's why it's not the share is not equal, is what I think.
True, true. I think that's one of the reasons. You are right. Ashwin also talks about emphasis on traditional means of marketing. Yeah, that's also a part, Ashwin. But again, I think it's a lot of things. So definitely, there's a part of that as a buyer. The feeling of trust or the feeling of getting a very very standardized experience. It's true for certain products. It's not true for certain products, and hence the divide. But taking on what Ashwin also said, so there's also the incapability that as a seller you have. So all of these platforms, either let's say it's a Flipkart or it's an Amazon, they are more of monopolistic structures. Their fees of being on the platform, the commission structures that they look at, they are very very high and hefty. And as Ashwin said, that digital marketing, or let's say putting even in a simple ad, those TV ads that you might have seen during the World Cup, they are expensive. So for a small seller, it is not feasible to shell out that sort of cash. So how does Janvi, sitting in Kanpur with a very very small purse, how is she going to able to sell her product across the country if she is not able to market, or she doesn't have the means to advertise the way, let's say, a Tata or a Reliance has? Even the other struggle that I have as a seller is I just have two or three platforms to choose from, so my negotiating power is much much lower, right? Then the other challenge is all of these platforms require a lot of tech integration. I am a small vendor. I do not have that sort of tech background. I don't have a tech team sitting in my office that can help me with this. So a lot of these factors has led to digital commerce being muted. And that has kind of given the need, and it has given, it has made people realize that if digital has to actually take off in our country, then you need to mitigate all of these issues that I've listed to you. And that is where there is a need of a very, very, for the lack of a better word, an open platform, or a place where anyone can come in and is able to sell their product very easily, market their product, list their product, get their product discovered easily. And that is where you have the need for ONDC. Now, what is ONDC? It's, just look at it as something as It's just a platform that allows a lot of sellers to come in and a lot of buyers to come in to interact with each other and do purchase and sale. How is it different from an Amazon and a Flipkart is that no seller has to get listed on the platform. It's an open network. It's unbundled. It's decentralized. And hence the entire narrative of what is ONDC. So just going by the definition again, ONDC is an open network for digital commerce that will establish open, inclusive, and competitive marketplaces online, creating choice and opportunity for everyone and by everyone. I think it's a very simplistic graph that you can see at the bottom. It just gives you a sense of how it will, how it will work. So very, very simply, you'll have a lot of sellers. They'll come to certain seller side apps. You'll have consumers who'll come to buyer side app. So you won't have to come to one single platform. You are not restricted by some sort of, so I am not restricted by, oh, I have to list myself on Amazon to be to be able to be discovered by a lot of buyers. So in that sense, it is interoperable. um it is very, very simplistic. You have small you're breaking it into very, very granular open systems, hence is unbundled. And because you have data availability and control both at the buyer and the seller side, that whatever you want to show, whatever you want to share, hence it is decentralized. And that is where ONDC comes in. What they have done, what they built a low cost digital infrastructure which allows any seller or any buyer to come in, sell their product, buy the product. It is easily discoverable. You need only one time single registration. There's absolute autonomy of whatever data you want to share, and it's a low cost access. um, if you could all please just go through the text on the right of the slide, it just will give you a sense of what they've done so far and what they propose to do. And just let me know when you're done, so we'll move on to the next. Okay, I've got a done from Rohit. Anyone else? Yeah, okay. Great. I think I've got a lot of thumbs up, so I think I can move on to the next. So, how will this work is, and what sort of players are there in the ecosystem? So, you'll have people who are responsible for ensuring that there's a seamless transaction on the seller side, and those are seller network participants. Then, of course, the reverse is going to be a buyer network. So, I don't know how many of you use Ola. How many of you use Ola? I don't know if you've opened the app recently. The moment you open and you book a ride, it says Ola is now on ONDC. Or if you've seen Phone Pay. Yeah. So a lot of these players are your gateways to ONDC. So unlike an Amazon or a Flipkart, you don't need to have an Amazon or a Flipkart app to use it. You can use any of these players, and you with through their apps you can go into ONDC and transact either as a buyer or as a seller. Use cases are listed here. I think it is so they've started a lot of food deliveries through ONDC because they believe that Zomato and the Swiggies of the world have been monopolizing. There are platform charges, there are delivery charges. So it's restrictive for the seller, it's restricted for the buyer, and hence through ONDC you will get low cost food deliveries. They believe that a lot of self-employed professionals will be able to list themselves and avail the benefits of digitization through ONDC, B2B commerce, peer-to-peer commerce. These are certain use cases that they believe that ONDC should help with. People have supported this. These are a list of institutions that you'll see who are listed on ONDC or who are working with ONDC in a certain way. These are again players who are either live on the network or they are in advanced stages of conversation with ONDC team. And I do personally believe that it is something that's going to pick up. You will see a lot of traction here. Will it sustain or not is, I think, something that we can always have a discussion on. Um, and I think that's all from my end. I didn't want to make it a very, very PPT heavy conversation. Um, so I think my next slide is thank you. So now the floor is absolutely open for all of you to come in, ask me something that you have, discuss it around whatever doubts you have, whatever questions do you have, um, and we can take it forward. Yeah, Ashwin, ONDC as a concept definitely sounds noble. And right now, because so I had recently ordered food from ONDC. Um, it was through phone pay. So it was a mixed bag. So my delivery fees was zero, so hence the cost for me was very light on the pocket. But my questions are twofold. One is, who will ultimately pay the price? Because there's a tech cost, there's a logistics cost. So who is ultimately going to bear that cost? So is this as a concept sustainable? And secondly, of course, my issue is in terms of the entire experience. So for example, in my case, the food arrived an hour late. And when I had to when I went back and said that my raised my grievance, I was told, please talk to Magic Pin. Magic Pin is the delivery provider. For me, I don't care whether it's Magic Pin or it's XYZ. I have transacted on phone pay, and that is where the answer is. So hence I do see a lot of challenges coming for. And of course, the proof of the pudding is going to be when they'll move out of food deliveries and to other things. How are they going to be able to standardize the experience for it? Because it's happening on multiple places. There's not a singular platform that you look coming to. So how you ensure that Ashwin, Janvi, Mohit, Shweta, everyone receives the same standardized experience that they propose to do. Um, Gateway for scammers, I'm yet to see a case, but I think data privacy, data integration, data autonomy, all of this will lead to very, very strict cyber restrictions. So that is again for everyone to see how that pans out if there is a financial transaction on the platform.
I have a question actually. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if as a buyer I'm going on ONDC, and once I purchase a product, afterwards if I'm having some problem with that, like for example if it's Swiggy and I contact the customer care. So they can directly take me to the restaurant or where the problem is, and they'll directly solve it for me. But when it comes to ONDC, we have a number of sellers, and there will be a lot of customers, right? Like giving their issues. So will it be easy for them to manage this? Is my question.
So the exactly that's what the example I gave you when I ordered food. So what I did was I logged in onto PhonePe. I went to ONDC. I ordered momos. Momos came in 60 minutes late. I raised a complaint. All I got to all I got as a response was, oh, the delivery or the seller side was managed by Magic Pin. We are not answerable. Whereas when I raise a complaint in Zomato takes care of it. They don't tell me, oh, you talk to Wow Momos at RD City. So when the moment you decentralize a lot of operations, how do you affix and assign accountability is the challenge. Anything else, guys? Ah,